Noise News UK here at the very swanky surroundings of Leeds City Varieties with Mr. Benjamin Francis Leftwich. How are you doing, Ben? You right?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate.
Good stuff. And now you're about halfway through a 30-day UK tour. How have you found the big old trek around the UK so far?
Yeah, it's been really good so far. I've enjoyed it. The shows have been really good. Crowds have been good, and venues are really nice. This is a nice venue, so I'm happy.
I noticed you've been playing some different venues to the more traditional like academies and that kind of thing. Plus, sort of playing here around the academy down the road,
Yeah.
and some kind of approach in Bournemouth. What's behind the choice of venues?
Just it's nice to mix it up, you know, for my own sanity. It's nice to go to different places and play in different rooms and have a nice gig.
Yeah. And how does the nicer venues affect the crowd?
You can never tell until you get on. Like we are playing a couple of big old academy rooms on this tour, and it just depends. You don't know until you get on how people are going to be. But everyone's been really nice so far, and I'm really enjoying it.
Now we're not too far away from the release of your brand new EP, digital release of In the Open,
Yeah.
which I understand that you recorded one track in London and the rest back home in New York.
Yeah.
What was behind the decision to split the recording?
Because I feel really at home, you know, York is my home and I feel comfortable there. I recorded the majority of the EP in my friend's kind of garden shed, just like a couple of mics, quite a raw EP. And I felt like I could sing better there and perform better there. So that was why.
Oh, okay. And what kind of effect do you think the decision to record in the shed had on the songs and the way they turned out?
It's like the EP is quite very like song focused. There's not too much other stuff on it, with the exception of the lead track. It's very like again like acoustic guitar based and vocal based, and my best friend produced the 3 tracks. And he knows me well because we've toured together a lot. So it was nice to work with somebody who gets.
So would you say being on home turf and working with a friend kind of brought a bit more honesty to the songs, and maybe working with a bigger name producer might have resulted in?
Yeah, of course, working with like a big name producer would have resulted in a different outcome. But you know, Ian Grimbley did our first record and who did the lead track on this one. He's a big producer, but he's not like a big pop producer. You know, like I always try and perform to the best of my ability when we're recording. That's something that I always do, but I don't know.
Okay, I just wanted to go through each of the tracks on the record. If you could say a little bit more about what it's about and what the song means to you. So if we start with the title track, In the Open.
In the Open, yeah, it's a song about there's a club back in York where me and my friend's bands play called the Duchess. On top of it, there's a car park. It's about girls who go to the club, and all guys, in fact, who go to the club and then go up to the top of the car park and get stoned and like look over the city. When we're all coming back, when I'm coming back from tour, when my friends come back from uni, it's like nice to go up there. So it's in the open. So I actually wrote it in America while I was on tour there, thinking about being back there.
And you'll be playing it in the Duchess in a few days, I believe.
Yeah, I think we are. I think that's next week.
That's a nice circular feel to the whole
Yeah.
thing. How do you find playing gigs on home turf here in Leeds, Yorkshire?
Good.
Is it nice to be back on familiar ground?
Yeah, for sure, man. It's really nice, and I feel at home here. Like our families come down and like all that kind of stuff. So it's dead nice.
You've pretty much toured almost the entire world this year. Does that make you pretty much the most well-travelled Yorkshireman alive? I mean, we don't often move straight too far.
I don't know. I don't know about alive, but I definitely enjoy travelling. It's good creatively. It's good to meet new people and go to new places and play gigs. You know, I'm really proud of my songs. It's nice to be invited to new countries to play them. So I just kind of roll with it.
What's the most amazing place you've visited or played in the last year?
Hong Kong was pretty mad. We went there we were in Hong Kong for 16 hours, got picked up from a house in York, got on a plane, landed, went to sleep, woke up really early, played a gig, got on a plane and came home. So that was pretty mad.
Was it a pretty surreal experience coming from your sleepy York roots to playing in this massive, kind of bustling, multicultural city?
Yeah, it was really weird, but the gig was really nice, and it was the first time I'd been abroad before. Like actually when I did that, I hadn't been to the States yet, but it was mad going across, like fully across the world and seeing people come to the show and sing along. It's nice.
How do sort of non-English speaking cities and crowds react to music? Or people who don't really don't speak English as a first language, maybe? Because the old stuff's quite poetic.
Good so far, but I always try and like learn a bit to say, you know. That is kind of hard, but obviously I wish I could speak more languages, but I can only speak English, unfortunately. So it's kind of hard to. Because I always like to say stuff in between the songs, you know. But it's sometimes I'll say a sort of long story and then it'll just be like dead silence.
Yeah. Just realised I've veered off track slightly from the other bit. Just like to say a little bit about the second track on the EP, Break the Day Open.
Yeah, I wrote that in the Lake District. I started writing in the Lake District about a year ago. I went camping there with some friends, and it's just kind of about being looking back on something and thinking and kind of questioning whether what you had was right or not. To be honest, I don't really like talking about what the songs are about in too much detail, but that's that kind of vibe. And it's about you go out and you like make the day your own, you break it open. It's kind of a weird saying, but I like it.
Okay, I mean that said, if we quickly go talk about Manchester Snow, and is that you on that plane?
Yeah, sure. Manchester Snow is kind of a funny. I always see it as kind of a funny, slightly mean song, but in a kind of understanding way, and it's about Manchester and when it snows in Manchester.
And is that you on that plane?
Yeah, Manchester's really pretty when it snows, so that's kind of tied into that. And It's Like You on That Plane. It's about my grandma getting cancer, and it's about I was chilling on like a cliff in Sydney, and a plane came really close overhead, and it's that thing of like when something's that close, but you know there's nothing you can do to like stop it. There's a plane, you can't stop a plane, like, even if you've got the biggest like machine in the world.
Yeah. From what you said, it sounds like sort of locations and being in particular places is quite an inspiration to your music. Is that accurate?
Sure. Yeah, I definitely get affected by where I am, in a positive or a negative way, but I care about where I am, and it's nice, some travelling, you get to sit down sometimes and think that, what's this, why am I here?
So do you tend to travel around and visit new places quite a bit in preparation for writing new material?
Yeah. Not out of choice so much, but just out of necessity, like touring around and going to different countries. It's just kind of the way it's happened. So yeah, it's definitely touring as intensely as I have the past couple of years definitely helped.
And how do you feel this past festival season, which has just come to a close, has treated you? Did it go well?
Good. I loved it. I love festival season. It's the second time we've done a full run, and it's just awesome. I loved it.
And what are your memories of breaking out onto the music scene and early gigs around York, and I'd probably imagine Leeds in this area as well?
Yeah, I think the first gig I ever played in Leeds was Royal Park Cellars. 4 years ago I was opening for a band called Cherbourg. It was really fun. I like that venue a lot. I used to just open for loads of people at like Fibbers and Basic Bar in York and try and do as many shows as possible. And I can remember doing good ones and bad ones, and I can remember playing to full rooms and also playing to like one person. So it was good there. I think it's that stuff, like you cut your teeth on that stuff,
Yeah. Just coming from such a fairly sleepy, chilled out and quite cultured place, is it quite helpful when you're a folk musician to find inspiration, and it's kind of finding mood for your songs in the city where you live?
Yeah, I mean, not direct. I don't think I've ever directly written a song about York, but I think having that place to go home to and having that feeling of content and is definitely helped me a lot. And also, like, my good friends are there, and my family are there and stuff. So it's a nice place to go back to. And when I go back there, I'm always really grateful. Because when I finished college, I was always like, oh man, I need to get out of here. And then I started touring, and now I want to go back.
Yeah. What would you say is behind the fairly big revival in just simple acoustic and folk music over the last 2 or 3 years, and how it's enjoyed more chart success than it maybe has previously?
I'm not too sure if I've got the answer for that. I think, my album did alright, but it wasn't like a hit album, and we didn't have any hit singles, but I think people are... It's hard to say, but there's been a revival in terms of like some people who play dudes who play acoustic guitars and who sing are now big, like arena level artists. But there's always, people like Ryan Adams have been releasing acoustic records for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And I think that it's always been around. It's just maybe now it's a bit more popular because every now and then 1 or 2 of the acoustic artists will get huge.
And how will the EP, which is set to release shortly, compare to the next full album when you start to record it?
I don't know. I've only started writing for the next album recently. I've got a couple of songs that I'm dead proud of, but it's I think we'll have to see. My rule is that the songs are king, and I'll do what's right for the songs.
Yeah. Are you likely to do any more recording back home?
Yeah, I want to definitely. I want to demo the whole thing back home and potentially record it back home as well. But we're just thinking about what producer we're going to have with us at the moment.
Is that the main plan for sort of the next 6 months to the year? Just concentrate on the songs and the album?
Yeah, well, I've got 3 more weeks on this tour, then I've got 3 days off, and then we're in the States for 2 months. Get home on Christmas Eve, and then Christmas until March, just write and record bits.
Well, it sounds like you're going to be a busy guy. Best luck with your show tonight here in the very, very posh City Varieties.
Yeah, it's really posh.
Thank you for your time, Ben.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks, now.